Hello, my dear people. I hope you're well and good. And here we are back with our Dananaka Series edition 11. Wow, I'm so happy that it has reached until the 11th edition, and this would not have been possible with without all your support. So thanks, a big thanks from the bottom of my heart to you all. Today is Ratha Saptami, and I had shared a very small story about Ratha Saptami in my Facebook timeline. If you have not seen that or heard about that story, you can go and find it in Lavanya Prasad's Facebook timeline, or I think I have also shared it with my Facebook page, Tailscope, so you can go there and find it as well. So, aren't you curious to know what we are going to do in this Dandanaka series, edition 11? Hmm? I'm going to start off right away with a story and then ask you what do you think that is we are going to talk about today. So, for that, I will have to take you to a place which believes that the people in that place are direct descendants from heaven. It is a place in India, and a very beautiful place at that, Meghalaya. So, today I'm going to tell you a parable from the Khasi tribes of Meghalaya. You know what? The people in Meghalaya, the Khasi tribe especially, they believe that they're all the descendants of God. And they have a very special story that goes around in the tribe about food. That's right. Now, how many of us eat very insensibly? I do. We get very easily tempted, or at least I do get very easily tempted whenever I see something very sweet. A friend even joked once that sweet people can control the amount of sweet that they could eat. And I told her, yes, maybe I need to get there. It requires more practice for me to become more sweet so that I can reduce the amount of sweets that I'm eating. Insensible eating, and I'm an addict. I should agree and accept that that is what has happened to me. But in spite of us knowing that it is very insensible for us to eat food that is not right, we give in. And a lot of health issues arise out of that. Don't you think so? Yes? But today's story is going to tell you why should you not possibly eat food that is not right for you. Can you believe if I tell you that this is a parable that has been going around in the Khasi tribe? Because the Khasi tribe believed that very, very long time ago, God used to walk in their lands. The Ribhai country, they call it. And he used to walk in the lands conversing with man and animals. Animals used to talk then, and asking them and talking to them about their daily life. Some days the conversation went around happiness. Some days the conversation went around duties and responsibilities that each one has been given. And some days the conversation went about all the good things they see around them. And everything in the Khasi land was very, very happy because there were some set rules that God had imposed or placed on these people, and it was followed to the T. Obedience was considered to be a very important factor for these Khasi people. But then one day, as God came down and was talking to people and animals, a human being asked about disobedience. He asked God, why is it you tell us that if one person disobeys anything, any of the rule that has been told to us to follow, the entire race would get affected out of it? I really don't understand, God. Can you please explain more about this? God, with a slight smile on his face, said, of course, I will. But for that, I want you to go into the middle of the forest to the big tree that you see. Sit under that tree, meditate for 7 days, and cut a branch of tree and come and give it to me. The man said, okay. He went straight to the middle of the forest to locate that big tree that was there. He sat under the tree, he meditated for 7 days. And after 7 days, he cut a branch of the tree and he came and gave it to God. He said, I did whatever you told me to, but I really don't get an answer to the question that I asked. Why is it that the entire human race will have to suffer for just not following something? Because of one person's not following something. And God asked, let me first go and inspect the place that you had meditated. And when he walked, God observed that the man had cut several other small trees on his way to reach to the big tree. When he inquired the man why he did so, the man simply said, it was very difficult for me to reach the big tree. There were so many other shrubs and other small trees that were lying around, and I had to cut them to make my way. God smiled and he said, ponder over this. Ponder over the giant tree and the other trees that you have cut. You will get an answer to my question. Man tried, but it didn't get inside the little head or the little brain that he had. He came back to God and said, no, I want more help. For which God said, all right, what did you meditate upon? But then man was not concentrating. Something was irritating in his leg and there was a big wound caused by an ant bite. He said, this is irritating me. I'm not even able to concentrate. My meditation was not complete because this ant bit me in my leg. And God asked, what did you do to the ant? I was sitting right next to an ant hill that was there, right next to the big giant tree. And this ant, when he came and bit me, I got so angry that I took a stone and I just threw at the ant hill. A part of those ant hill got destroyed that day, man said. God smiled and he said, now here is an answer to the question that you asked. Think over it. Think about the giant tree, the trees that you cut. Think about the single ant that caused pain to you and how it caused something bad to the entire community of the ants. Man still didn't follow. He said, no, I need more help. God said, I'm going to let you ponder over this and I will be back after 7 days. After 7 days, man was there waiting at the place that God asked him to be. He was loitering around because he could not find God. And it was at that time he spotted a stranger who was sitting on a boulder and holding something, a sling bag, which looked like a sling bag that they used to carry food in. And he was putting his hand inside it, picking something and eating and making nice faces as if whatever he was eating was tasting so delicious. He got a little curious. He went straight to the stranger and asked, what is that you're eating? And he said, I'm eating a tasty cake. Would you like to have a bite of it? Immediately, man went back and said, oh no, thank you so much for the offer. But as per the rules of our community, God has imposed this rule on us. We are supposed to eat only the things that grow in this forest. I cannot be eating this. But then the stranger said, tasting a small bit is not going to cause you any harm. You can still eat it. Man was tempted and he tried a very small, teeny, weeny bit of the cake that the stranger offered. And indeed, it was delicious, yummy. The moment he had tasted, there was a gush of wind and God was coming. The stranger disappeared magically. God came in and looked at what man was having in his hand and said, what is that? What are you eating? There was a stranger and I just tried to have one small bite of the tasty cake that he was giving and it tastes delicious. I should definitely tell you that. God was angry. He said, I told you to eat only the food that grows in this forest, the natural food that you get from this forest. Now here is the demon who was trying, who was given you something that I had asked you not to eat. Now, because of the folly of one man, that is you, your entire community is going to suffer, he said and disappeared. The man who was holding this in his hand walked straight into the village. People all got curious. They started eating, and every day the demon came in and gave them more and more and more of whatever he had. And slowly laziness started to set in. People became a little weak, and they understood before it was too late that it is not okay for them to eat something that is not grown naturally in their forest. But alas, because of that one man's folly, to this day, the Khasi people believe that we give in to the temptations that the demon created in us. Insensible eating was a no no and is a no no for the Khasi tribe. How nice, right? So, what do you think is the the topic for today's Dananaka Series edition? If you're going to think insensible eating, no. It is forbidden. In different cultures, every culture, you have something that is forbidden. Especially in India, which is a very culture and tradition rich country, we have so many things that are forbidden. For example, we are not allowed to wear our sandals or shoes inside the temple. It is forbidden for us to allow or wear sandals and shoes inside the temple. How many such rules have you heard? Yes, different countries, different cultures have different things. In fact, it is said that when you're going or worshipping God, you will have to keep yourself grounded. The reason behind why this was imposed on us or this rule was given was one, hygienic factor. When we walk around, we stamp over so many things, and when we are entering a place like a temple where we believe it is filled with positive energy, we would like to give it more cleanliness by not taking in the germs that we are using, that we stepped outside in our sandals, and that's why we keep our sandals out. But otherwise, it is also said that when we are going to offer our pranams or prayers to something that is beyond us, a supreme power, if you don't believe in God, then consider it as nature, something that is beyond us, something that we cannot understand, but we still are at awe when we look at that. We need to be grounded. And that grounding happens when your feet touch the ground. You instantly feel the connection to the earth, and instantly you realize that you are nothing in front of that big thing that you're going to bow to. It was for that reason wearing slippers was forbidden or is forbidden in India when you go inside a temple. Of course, even in a household. We don't wear slippers inside the household. Some people do wear special chappals which are kept only for their houses, but here in our house we don't do that either. That's because it is got inside our minds and we still believe that there is some meaning to it, right? So, like this, there are so many things, so many different cultures where a lot of things are forbidden. When I looked to search about this, I was so surprised because there are certain things about different countries that are forbidden in different countries that if I tell them, I might be even put to jail. So I would ask you to go and find about forbidden things in different countries, and maybe you could go and find out more about why it was forbidden in the first place. Maybe there is a valid reason to it. Now, in Indian households, I remember my tata or my party, whenever we went out and we came back, there is a tap outside the house. Yes, there is even a tap now in my mother-in-law's place and even in my mummy's place, Amma's place. There is a tap outside the house before we enter the house where we are required to clean our feet and then only enter the house. Not many of us are following this. Even I don't at times follow these. In the apartment especially, I don't think we wash our legs and then come inside, but our apartment has a pipe down in the basement. If we want, we could still do that. But why do you think that was told? Why are you supposed to wash your feet when you're coming from outside, or even when you're coming from anywhere that you had been. Why did they ask you to do that? So when I started to look upon this, a very interesting story came up, and I thought that will be the second story for the day. So I remember my grandfather telling me, when I come back from school, or when we go to some other place which is crowded and dirty, and we are coming back, and he'll say, "Po kaal alamindu va, wash your legs and come inside." And when I wash, he will stop me there and he will say, "Kudi kaal alamindiya," which means, did you wash your heel? Did you wash the back of your feet? We all quickly, children, we wanted to just get inside the house, so we just quickly, to just satisfy them, we wash the front of our feet and we just walk in. But Tata will stop us there and he will say, "Kudika lalam India, did you pour water on the back of your heel?" And then we were supposed to do that. It is gone now. But the beautiful story behind that, or the mythology behind that, comes from the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata has this story of the great king of the Nishida kingdom, Nala. Now, Nala was once going in his garden and he saw beautiful swans there. He wanted to take and pet one of them, but when he was going to run and catch one out of the gang that has come, the flock of birds that had come, everything flew, but he managed to catch one swan. As he was holding the swan in his hand, to his utmost surprise, the swan spoke. It said, "My dear King Nala, the great king of the Nishida kingdom, I will have to tell you something. I have been talking about you to Princess Damayanti. Did you know that she is one of the most beautiful princes ever? And her father is going to arrange a Swayamvara. If you let me go, I will go and tell her more about you." And now Nala had already heard about Damayanti's beauty, Damayanti's culture, Damayanti's tradition, and he really wanted to make her his own. And so he let the swan fly. The swan, like it promised, flew straight to Damayanti and said all the good things that he knew about Nala. Damayanti also fell in love with Nala. When the Swayamvaram was arranged, they say all the gods landed down for the Swayamvaram, for everybody wanted to get Damayanti as their own. And now, gods, right? So they somehow knew that Damayanti's heart was filled with love for King Nala. And so, with their magical powers that is infested upon them, every other god who came to the Swayamvaram took the form of Nala. And Nala was also there. And now Damayanti's mind was racing. She didn't know what to do. Now everybody is looking like Nala. How will I go and find my man? As she was walking past everybody, she saw just one thing. She didn't even look up to see Nala's face. She was looking down. But when she came to one person, without even putting her heads up, she put the garland on his neck with a smile on her face. And instantly, Nala rejoiced, and all the gods came back to their original form, angry. How is this even possible? For the clever Damayanti noticed that the gods did not have shadows, but Nala did. And that is how she chose her prince. And now this angered all the gods. They decided to plot things against Nala. See, jealousy, envy existed even among the gods. So they called Shani, Saturn, for help. They said, "We want you to get inside Nala's planetary positions in such a way that you're bringing him such difficulty, and we want you to separate the husband and wife." Shani tried really hard. Didn't happen. Everything was in Nala's favor. 12 years after they were married, they were still very happy, and this angered the gods so much that they said, "Now it is high time you find something." And they say, when Nala came back from hunting one day, And as he was walking inside the home, he was washing his feet, and he washed his feet in a hurry that day. He forgot to wash the heel of his feet. So the heel of the feet still had dirt. And Shani took that opportunity to get inside Nala's planetary positions. He went inside, and thus started the Rai Sani, or the 7.5 hardship period of Nala. You know the story, they were separated. Nala went through so many hardships, and finally, when the 7.5 period was over, they were united again. So that is the story. But the story talks about why you will have to wash your heel. So we were all told, if you don't wash your heel, then this is what is going to happen to you. Shani is going to come. Your planetary position is going to become bad. 7.5 periods of bad luck. But however, whatever it may be, it was also told to us to maintain more hygiene, to keep ourselves clean. So that is why we were forbidden from entering the house without washing our feet, especially the heels. Right? So these are certain things, certain forbidden things in India. There are so many in India, and I'm sure that there is some interesting story like this behind every little thing that has been forbidden. Now, I also did a quick research to understand what and all is forbidden in what and all countries, and this is what I have to tell you all. So, it's very interesting to note, while some countries have imposed it as a rule, even as a law, which when you break is supposed to be really, really bad, that it is considered to be a crime. But there are also some rules which are really good. Now, one such is in Rome or Italy, people believe that you should never keep a goldfish inside a round bowl, because they think it will bring you bad luck. And why that bad luck is because there is a nice scientific reason to it too. The scientists found out that if we are going to keep a goldfish in a round bowl, it is actually going to reduce the amount of oxygen that the fish could get, which would result in the fish becoming blind. Now, while that could be a crime that you commit, even by not knowing anything, even by not knowing, probably that is why the people in Rome and Italy, they don't keep a fish in a round bowl. Very interesting. I thought it was fabulous because there is it has been told to them not to, because it will bring them bad luck, but there is actually a very good explanation to that. So that was one thing that fascinated me, that I thought I will share with you all today. The second one is in Denmark or in Iceland, all these places, they don't give their babies names until there is a proper naming ceremony which is conducted, and that is when they give names to the child. Rings a bell? Of course, in India, that's exactly what we do too. We have a Namakarna ceremony which is conducted on the 11th day of the baby, after the baby is born, and that is when we give the names to the babies. Until then, we call them Raja, Kandukuti, Kandmani, Vengayo, apple, pineapple, whatever we want to. Right? So I remember that in my dad's side of the family, the boys are not given name until they are 1 year old. It's only when their first birthday is done and the Ayush Homam is complete, the actual name is given to the boy. Until then, they call the people like this, like Sweetie Pie. We didn't do Sweetie Pie then. It was more of Raja, Kanna, all this which happened. But for us, it was definitely the 11th day where this Namakarna was done, and only then the names were given. Very similar, but I'm sure, excuse me, I'm sure that there should be or could be a story behind this. Now, if this is getting you curious, I suggest you go and find why. Yeah, so this is what we want to do. We want to share with you some information that will get you curious so that you could go and find more about it. That is the whole point of doing this Dandanaka series and Endro Kada in Tamil. So to this time when we thought about forbidden things that we want to talk, these are some things which came up. And another thing, very interesting thing that I wanted to tell you was, let me check. There's so many other things. There are so many things in Canada, Singapore, Iran, Middle East has so many forbidden things, which is very culture specific. Like for example, it could be completely different too. Like for in India, we believe that when we are entering a temple, which is considered to be the abode of God, we are supposed to dress very not dazzy and everything else, and be humble, dress humble. But it is just the opposite in the West. When you go to a church, you are expected to dress very prim and prom and perfect. So just see how culture has its own, you know, their significance. Maybe that has a story behind it too. But it's very interesting to note all this. And what else? Singapore, I said Middle East, yes. And of course, the Khasi tribe I spoke about. There are so many other things. In Japan, for example, it is banned. I would not say forbidden. It is banned to be overweight. It's a law. If you have an overweight employee in your office, the office is supposed to give them dietary plans to bring them back to a nicer weight or a healthier weight, which is very nice. I thought it was beautiful because they care about people's health. So these, I don't know, these are not forbidden but banned. So there is a difference between forbidden and being banned. Forbidden is culturally, traditionally, is what I'm talking about. So these things, these forbidden things, is what intrigued me, and I wanted to share with you all. So yes, two stories today for you all to think about, to ponder about, and if that has caused a ripple inside your mind, and that wants or makes you to go and find more about whatever we spoke, then that is a win for us. Thank you so much for listening, taking time to listen to the wonderful stories that come our way that we wanted to share with you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So, this is where our Dandanaka series edition level 11 ends. But next week is going to be our Endra Ondra Kada in Tamil, where we are going to tell you more stories in Tamil. So, if you understand Tamil, or if you have friends who understand Tamil, ask them to watch the Endra Ondra Kada too. And if you think our Dandanaka series is of some value to you, please do share. Sharing is caring, and we'll be really happy if you could share the knowledge that you had with others too. But next month we complete 12 months or 1 year of doing this Dandanaka series and Endro Ondra Kada. It all started just like that. When we stepped into our 6th year, we wanted to start something different. We thought we wanted to do something to give to the community of story lovers and our supporters. And that is how this whole series of Dandanaka series and Endro Ondra Kada began. On March 20th, World Storytelling Day, which is also Talescope's birthday, we did a viewers choice series, and that converted into the Dandanaka series and the Endro Ondra Kada, and it's so heartwarming, and I'm so grateful that it could come this long. Thank you so much for that. Yes, it's going to be March again, and we are going to step into our 7th year, and we have some exciting stuff to share with you all. So stay tuned. Until then, it's Lavanya Prasad from Talescope signing off. Tata. Have a nice weekend.